And now we are ready for the third pick, and the Chicago Bulls, who have been drafting very high down through the years, and they have the third pick today.
The Chicago Bulls pick Michael Jordan of the University of North Carolina.
All right, Michael Jordan, this is Eddie Doucette in New York. How you feeling?
Just fine. How you doing?
Real good. College Player of the Year amongst so many other honors. Picked third in the NBA draft by the Chicago Bulls. You'll be getting a chance to see close up Enos Wadley and Wiggins and the rest of those fellas. How do you think you'll fit there?
Well, hopefully I fit pretty well. I'm looking forward to it. I played with Enos when I came out of high school, so I'm looking forward to playing with him again.
All right, now at 6'6", 195 pounds, actually you could play two positions. Which would you prefer?
Well, it doesn't matter really. Whatever can contribute to the team. If I have to play small forward, if I have to play guard, whatever the team needs.
Some of the people who know this game best say that perhaps you're going to be a beautiful big guard. How do you feel about that?
Well, hopefully that could become true. I'm not looking forward to going in and trying to live up to everyone else's expectations. I just want to go in and contribute the best way I could, and just look forward to whatever the coaches want.
Do you know anything about Kevin Lockree's style of coaching and what he expects from his players?
Not really. I'm looking forward to meeting Coach Lockree and looking forward to his coaching ability.
Well, Michael, you've got a great opportunity to step in there and win a city that is crying for a winner. That is a fabulous sports town in Chicago. And with a little help from a fellow named Michael Jordan, perhaps you can turn that Bulls thing around. What do you think?
Hopefully, I can go in and contribute and maybe turn it around. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, Michael, we want to wish you the best. I know that Olympic team is shaping up, and I can't wait to see you next year in the NBA.
Thank you very much.
This is a Channel 5 News special report.
Good morning. I'm Warner Saunders.
And I'm Allison Rosati. What a shocker. In a matter of moments, Michael Jordan is expected to officially announce his retirement. The way his Mercedes was guarded, you would have thought it was the president coming to the arena. Security guards ran alongside Jordan's car. It was followed by an entourage of others. Channel 5's Mark Greco joins us now live from the Berto Center with the latest. Mark?
Allison, this is the ultimate press conference. Every cameraman, every reporter I've ever known in this business from all parts of the country, from Dick Shepp to Tom Brokaw, to everyone here waiting for the arrival of players Michael Jordan, his entourage, and the Bulls management. They are all here. The players are assembling in the hallway over to my left. Upstairs in the balcony, you see more media members, more members of the Bulls. Chairman Jerry Reinsdorf is here along with General Manager Jerry Krause. Even the president of Nike, Phil Knight, is here. The assistant coaches, Johnny Bach and Tex Winter, looking over the horde here from the windows above. They're about to come down. As you know, we got wind of this situation as early as Sunday night and Monday. There were rumors flying around that Michael would hold a press conference. At that time, his agent, David Falk, denied those reports simply by saying there is nothing scheduled at this time. The speculation among all the media members here is that Michael will not be able to stay retired, that the competitive fire will return, and that he'll probably be back in a year or so. And I'm sure that'll be the first question that he will be asked, if indeed they are going to take questions. All the Bulls players are here. Scottie Pippen, John Paxson, Bill Cartwright. Right over here you see his head looming above others. B.J. Armstrong is here as well. All the assistant coaches. Phil Jackson just poked his head out the window. He's with wife Juanita, holding her hand. Incredible feedback as the cameras and microphones fight one another. Representatives from the NBA, Nike, as we said. Michael all smiles, really. NBA Commissioner David Stern, even in attendance, as he takes his seat next to Juanita Jordan. Phil Jackson now sitting next to Michael. David Falk, Michael's agent, here as well. George Kohler, Michael's trusted friend and chauffeur, next to him. Jerry Reinsdorf, Jerry Krause, Scottie Pippen making an appearance here, along with John Paxson.
I'm going to talk first.
It looks like the Last Supper. And it certainly appears to be the last press conference for Michael Jordan.
I just have a few words to say, and then we'll hear from Michael. This is a very bittersweet day. There's a certain sadness because the greatest athlete to ever play a team sport is leaving the game. but it's really for me a very, very happy day because somebody who I admire and respect is doing exactly what he wants to do, and I'm absolutely convinced that he's doing the right thing. About a year ago, when we were getting ready to begin training camp for the last season, Michael spoke to me about losing a little of the zest for the game and wondering about how long he would play. Of course, he did play, and we won another championship. Several weeks ago, at the Jordan Foundation dinner, Michael again brought the subject up and said that he was considering not playing. I asked him at the time not to make a hasty decision, to be sure that he thought everything through, and that when he came to that decision, it would be one that he could live with and one he was absolutely certain of. We agreed at that time to get together in a couple of weeks. We did last Sunday, October the 3rd, Michael and Curtis and David Falk and I met in Washington at David's home. Michael reaffirmed his decision. I made absolutely no attempt to talk him out of it because I was convinced it was the right thing for him to do. I only asked him to do one thing, and that was not to make the decision final until he spoke to Phil Jackson and to Jerry Krause, which he did, I guess it was yesterday morning. And after meeting with Phil for an hour and with Jerry, Michael again was convinced he did the right thing. I think all of us who know Michael are convinced that he is doing the right thing. He's living the American dream. The American dream is to reach a point in your life where you don't have to do anything you want to do, you don't want to do, and everything that you do want to do. So we respect the decision. We're sorry to leave him, to see Michael leave, but it's really been an honor and a pleasure for me and for the people of Chicago to have had Michael here for 9 years. I can only imagine what it was like seeing Babe Ruth, because I think this man, I used to say, was the Babe Ruth of basketball. I've now come to believe that Babe Ruth was the Michael Jordan of baseball. Michael?
Thanks, Jerry. I think everyone knows exactly what the circumstances are right now in terms of my decision not to play the game of basketball in the NBA. Doesn't mean I'm not going to play basketball somewhere else, but I've talked to all my confidants, my family, my friends, as Jerry has just informed you, to the organization. I even talked to David Stern as of yesterday and even today, and I'm very solid with my decision of not to play the game of basketball in the NBA. Reasoning being, I've heard a lot of different speculations about my reasons for not playing, but I've always stressed to people that have known me and the media that has followed me that when I lose the sense of motivation and the sense of to prove something as a basketball player, it's time for me to move away from the game of basketball. It's not because I don't love the game. I love the game of basketball, I always will. I just feel that at this particular time in my career, I've reached the pinnacle of my career. I've achieved a lot in that short amount of time, if you want to call it short. But I just feel that I don't have anything else for myself to prove. And I met with my teammates, some of my teammates this morning, and it was very, very emotional because they meant a lot to me, and we've shared a lot of time together over the last 9 years. Paxton being the guy that I've been with for the last 8 years, and other guys I've spent a lot of time for the last 5 years, and we've achieved a lot. We've gone through a lot of stages, and my success has been as much as their success. They've been a part of that. My family's been a part of that. My wife, my father, who, as everyone knows, has left us. And I guess the biggest gratification, I'm a very optimistic person. I guess the biggest positive thing that I can take out of my father not being here with me today is that he saw my last basketball game, and that means a lot. It was something that he and I have talked, and my family has talked for a long period of time. He advised me, quite frankly, to retire after my first championship. But we had many discussions, and my discussions was that I still had a lot to prove as a player, and I wanted to win more. At the end of the year, After we won our third championship, we talked once again, and I was kind of leaning towards that direction. And he knew that, and my family knew that, and it was just a matter of waiting until this time when basketball was near to see if my heart would change. And I went through all the different stages of getting myself prepared for the next year. And the desire was not there. And it wasn't like everyone had speculated about all the different media pressure and different pressures that I was feeling. I deal with pressure all the time, and I've always said that I would never let you guys run me out the game. So don't think that you've done that. This is my choice, and I've always wanted to make it my choice. And it's a choice that I chose to live with. And certainly it goes without some reservations a little bit, because I'm gonna miss the game. I'm gonna miss the opportunities of, winning extra championships and spending more time with teammates for 8 months and going on trips or whatever, and some of the things that men do in basketball. I'm gonna miss it. The psychological warfare that Phil put us all through in 8 months, I'm gonna miss that. But at some point in time, you have to look at the future. I think one thing about my father's death is that it can be gone and be taken away from you at any time. And there's still a lot of things out there for me to achieve. There's a lot of family members and friends that I haven't seen because I've been very selfish in my career to try to get to this point and make sure that I achieve all the dreams that I want to achieve. Now that I'm here, it's time to be a little bit unselfish in terms of spending more time with my family, my wife, my kids, and just get back to a normal life, as close to it as I could. It's going to be tough, but I'm very happy with my decision, and I'm very glad that I'm in a position to make that choice. A lot of times you guys do all the pushing, and now I'm taking the lead, and I'm doing all the necessary steps to walk away from the game when I feel I need to. But I'm glad for the fans and for the organization, for the support that they have given me and my family, and for the league. I think the league has gone from somewhere that a lot of people had little doubts about the personalities and probably the image, to where it's probably the highest rated and most watched professional sport that there is. And I think that means a lot to all the guys who played in that era, especially myself. So thank you, and hopefully I don't see too many of you guys in the future. And now you can go somewhere else and get your stories. And this is probably the first time I've met this many people without a scandal around. So it's really a great feeling to hear all the thank yous, and certainly the support of these people here from my corporations and Nike, Gatorade, all the people that I deal with. They've been very supportive of my decision, and I think that means a lot as a person and as an endorsee of that product. So thanks, and I'm willing to answer some of the off-the-wall questions that you guys are going to give me.
Michael, would you have made this decision had your father still been with you?
Certainly.
Would you make it?
I would have made it even if he would have been here. It was a decision that I was contemplating about when the season ended. So naturally, when my father died, it put a little bit different emphasis on life in general, but it didn't alter my decision no differently than what I had already, basically leaned toward.
You say you're not going to play in the NBA anymore. You're going to confine it to the driveway or the gym, or you're going to start
the pickup game.
You're going to start your own league in Europe or something?
I'm here. I'm going to play for my kids and my family, and pick up games when I feel the desire. And I'm still an avid basketball fan. I'm still an avid Chicago Bulls fan, and I will come to some of the practices. They haven't banned me from the practices like they banned you guys, and I'm still looking forward to watching this team be successful. A lot of people doubt this team because of my retirement. I don't. I just think that when a father sends his kids out to college, that kid has to stand up on his own 2 feet. And I'm not saying I was the father of this group, but I took a lot of the pressures and some of the heat. But I know this team is prepared to step up and take what they want. And I told Scotty, I told BJ, I told John, I told all the guys, you still have the faith, you have the ability to achieve what you want to achieve. You just got to believe in it. And you got to go through all the determination processes that you go through every day to step on that basketball court and prove or feel you have something to prove. And that was one of the reasons that I stepped away from the game, because when I stepped on the basketball court, there wasn't anything else for me to prove. That's one of the reasons you guys have gone into my private life, so that you can't blame my basketball.
Johnny Rudker getting back at Michael after all those years. Whacking talcum powder in his face.
I guess he's even now.
Remember, Michael would always go through that ritual before every game.
No, Charles changes his number every week. And I did see him last night on television, and we've always talked about retiring at the same time. But I think it's a little different scenario between Charles and myself, being that I've achieved a lot in a lot of my goals, and I think he still has things that he wants to achieve. Sadly, that I couldn't hang around till he do those things because I was standing in his way. Now that I'm out the game, I hope he does, as well as Patrick, because he's a good friend, and other players. But I wish that we could have left the game at the same time, but it just wasn't the same focus and the same goal left for both of us.
Remember, Charles Barkley said he would have retired had his Phoenix Suns beaten the Bulls.
I'm going for the Bulls all the way. I mean, Charles, I love him as a friend, but I love the Chicago Bulls as a family. So that's where I was bred, and that's where we achieved a lot, and I live in Chicago. So I want the Chicago Bulls to continue on. Can I remember any of it? It will. Always will. That's just the way life is. You're always going to have a better man out there somewhere. It may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10, 20 years down the road. There's always a better man somewhere. And
Michael talking
that is not one of my fears. Because as long as I was playing the game, I believed in myself as a basketball player and certainly as a person. And hopefully when that person comes along and maybe have the impact as a Magic Johnson, Dr. J, myself, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, you know, he feels the same way. But it will be another player in that nature.
You've played for so long. You've done nothing but play basketball. After a year away, is it possible you
may miss the sport?
Miss it more than you think and want to come back?
I'm pretty sure I missed the sport.
Want to come back?
To come back is a different thought. I can't answer that. I'm not making this a never issue. I'm saying right now I don't have the mental drive to come out and push myself to play for a certain focus. 5 years down the line, if that urge comes back, if the Bulls have me, if David Stern lets me back in the league, I may come back. But you know, that's an option that I would never close on. You know, I like to have that option, and you know, that's something that I'm willing to deal with and take the chances with.
And Michael Jordan has completed his final news conference.
My special contribution was the tone. You never saw anything like it, and you won't ever see anything, maybe not like it again. Thank you.
Michael Jordan getting a round of applause, saying that he leaves us with the legacy of his flapping tongue. Shaking hands and hugging Commissioner David Stern. Hugs all the way around at the dais. Now the media moves in for even more pictures, and I'm sure people will try to ask him the same questions over and over again. Security now ushering Michael out, and he literally walks away from the game that made him the most famous face in all of North America, and I dare say Europe, a Muhammad Ali impact personality of this decade for sure.
No one then, with the exception of Michael himself, could have known that 2 months later, he would be attempting to compete on the same field of battle which made the Babe famous. In December of '94, Jordan began working out for baseball. Nearly everyone thought it was a joke. Everyone except Michael.
I do have skills and capabilities of possibly playing this game as long as I want to stay with it, and I plan on trying to keep improving on that so that I don't make a fool of myself.
Impressed enough with the improvement Jordan had shown, or convinced that he would be the greatest gate attraction since, dare we say, Ruth? The White Sox signed Jordan to a free agent contract and invited him to spring training. The circus-like atmosphere put pressure on the other players in camp, but the focus was clearly on Michael. On March 31st, MJ was assigned to the AA Birmingham Barons. Before playing his first game, he spent $350,000 on a new team bus. The date April 8th is significant in Jordan's life for two reasons. It was on that day during the 85-86 basketball season he scored 63 points against the Celtics. It was on that day in 1994 that Jordan began his professional baseball career, playing right field for the Barons. The numbers he created off the field were more impressive than the ones he produced on it. Wherever he went, fans flocked to see him play. Jordan ended up hitting .202 with 51 RBIs. He stole 30 bases, struck out 114 times, but over the last 3 weeks of the season, Jordan went 12 for 40, hitting .300.
It's a good start. I don't think I'm finished. I think my dream's still continuing. I'm still trying to get to the Major League if possible. I mean, that's the ultimate dream.
5 days after he put the glove down, he put his sneakers back on, playing in a charity game hosted by Scottie Pippen. Jordan displayed the moves and pizzazz, which earned him 3 regular season and 3 postseason MVP awards. He scored 52 points, then kissed the Chicago Stadium floor and seemingly his basketball life goodbye. Like Birmingham, Scottsdale, Arizona was the next to benefit from MJ's presence. His play in the Fall League continued to lend credence to the notion that he may someday play in the bigs. Jordan batted .252 in 35 games. But in November, basketball called again. In a made-for-TV event, Jordan's number was retired, and a statue of the living legend was unveiled in front of the new United Center, affectionately known as the house that Jordan built. February 17, 1995, Michael turns 32 in Sarasota, Florida. But on March 2nd, he walked out of the White Sox training camp, having earlier vowed not to get in the middle of the strike. Now, he's back in the middle of basketball.
Less than 2 years, you're back. Why now? Why jump back into a fishbowl that's even bigger than the one you left?
Well, I mean, either way, my life has been a fishbowl no matter what. You know, on the court, off the court. That's just something that I've kind of created for myself and certainly of my family. But I think being that I'm older, I know how to deal with that, especially for my family's sake. You know, when I'm with my family, that's my private life. That's certainly, you know, my time with them. I think one thing I kind of totally forgot, you know, once I retired 18 months ago, was my love for the game of basketball. As much as I tried to stay away from the game, I mean, the more times that I played, the more times that my appetite got wet. So, you know, once the baseball situation kind of diffused a little bit, I mean, it was good for me. I think it really gave me a chance to get my mind away from the game of basketball and more or less go back to the basics of, you know, participating, you know, from a, not from a standard of, you know, high standards that I've set for myself, but down where I had to work to get what I got.
You're coming home tonight, but this arena isn't really home. I mean, your home is across the street.
Well, the way that I see it is it's the neighborhood. It's the same neighborhood, but it's a different house. And it's a lot of resemblance to my new home or to the old home. But I guess, you know, things have changed, and it's pretty modern, and certainly you have to make it your home, and you have to bring some of those pieces from the old place to here just to make it your new home. So I'd rather have the old stadium, but you know, in terms of modifications, I have to deal with this. And you know, for the time being, this is going to be my home until I get comfortable.
So what's your future? How long are you here for?
Well, I mean, I got to finish out my contract, and you know, that's a couple years, I think. And from that point on, I mean, I got to evaluate what my interests are at that particular time. And I don't want to look so far in the future that, you know, I'm pressed to live out a certain schedule. My life has always been, and my motto has always been to live it day by day, you know, and not try to think so far in advance that you kind of forget about the present. You know, I want to live for the present at this particular time, and the present is that I'm playing for the Bulls now, and I look forward to finishing out my contract. Now, what happens from that point on, you know, certainly is whatever I feel at that moment.
They couldn't restructure your contract, Scottie Pippen's contract, or anybody else's contract. Were there any stipulations that Scottie and Phil Jackson and you would be together through the duration?
It was a question, certainly. You know, I wanted to know what the status of these gentlemen were. I mean, I wasn't demanding not one thing. I've never demanded since I've been here, and I wasn't going to start at that particular time. Even so, you know, I could have easily, but I've never operated from that angle, you know. And yeah, I asked about Phil, I asked about BJ, I asked about Pippen, Tony, you know, just to see where I stood, you know, and that had a lot to do with my decision making. But, you know, I didn't demand these guys to get new contracts or you know, whatever, you know, what all the speculations were. But, you know, in terms of myself, I didn't ask for no extra money. I knew I couldn't because of the moratorium, and I came back under my own contract.
This team, do you think it can win a 4th title as it's constituted?
Certainly. I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
Tonight is a night that a lot of people in Chicago have been waiting for almost 2 years. What is your feeling going to be like as you wait to be introduced?
The thing that I feel is the crowd and the inspiration that they always have given me in the past, and I don't anticipate it being any different. You know, I mean, that's the adrenaline that the home crowd presents to their home team. I'm a part of this home team now, so I look forward to that adrenaline going through me, and certainly the inspiration to prove to the city of Chicago that we're not ready to go to wait till next year attitudes. We still have an opportunity to make things happen now, and just don't give up on us. Just, you know, support us as they always have, and we will certainly try to do the best job that we can on the basketball court.
Michael, the team you left in Phoenix and the team you came back to here in March this year, 2 different teams.
I don't know. I think the next 14 games is going to be very crucial in terms of how we can, you know, create our own identity. You know, with that team that won the 3 championships, we had our identity, and, you know, everyone knew their respective roles. Now, with this team, you're trying to find, you know, the niches where everybody can fit into where it's a complete puzzle. You know, how big my piece is going to be, I don't know. You know, in the last, you know, my last 3 years with the Bulls, you know, it was a big piece, but yet it fitted perfectly, and everything dictated in terms of how the other guys expanded their pieces. I mean, I don't think it should change. I think that, you know, my productivity is going to rely upon what these guys are able to do and how well they can expand their games.
Scottie Pippen emerged as a star in his own right last year when you were playing baseball. Have your role and his role changed?
Oh, certainly. Certainly. I think he has a better understanding in terms of the expectations that a player of his caliber, and certainly of my caliber, have to live up to day in and day out. I think that's one thing that really has made him that much better as a player. Is the 18 months that I was away, he had to deal with some of those similarities that I had to deal with, you know, when I was here. So that I think mentally he becomes a little bit more stronger and can deal with certain things in different ways, but yet his competitive and certainly his everyday game have to be, he has to find different challenges every day so that he can maintain that consistency. I think that's one thing about your great players and your good players. Great players do it every night. Good players do it once in a while. And I think Scottie's starting to, you know, understand the difference between the two, and he certainly has the talent and the credibility to do both.
Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc are 3 great players with a ball in their hands, but there's only one ball out there. Is it hard for you guys to play at the same time?
Pippen and I had that understanding, you know, my last 3 years, or when we won the 3 championships. So I think it's capable. We're capable of understanding that, and I think Tony's going to have to implement that, you know, and learn how to do that amongst the 3 of us. It gives us a lot of versatility as a team, which is very strong in this game today, the versatility, the different matchups that you have to deal with. So I think the more we play with each other, we can understand certain things that make, you know, players comfortable and make them more productive. So 3 threats, you know, that's a great weapon to have, especially going into the playoff. And it's a great weapon when you know what your other players are capable of doing. And I think that's one thing that I'm trying to find out about Tony. I think he knows about me, but he's yet to see it, is the understanding of how to complete a game and what he can rely upon.
So what do Michael's peers think of his return? They couldn't stop him before, but now after 17 months, it sounds like they want to give basketball's prodigal son a big hug and a kiss. We start with his old buddy Chuck.
Hey, welcome back and good luck. We're going to try to hold up our end of the bargain. We won't play them again unless they get to the finals. And like I said, good luck.
I think it's great for the game, and it's great for the NBA. And I think everybody will be tuned in tomorrow to watch Michael play.
To see him come back, it's just going to make a huge impact on basketball and sports throughout the world.
He looked pretty good playing against us in the day he practiced. In fact, I didn't see any loss of skill.
He choreographed all this. He scripted this whole situation. So he's not going to come back unless he's going to come back with a bang and he's looking good. You can believe that.
There's a packed house here at the United Center from a media standpoint. Jerry Krause, the Bulls GM, is also here. Dick Ebersol, the NBC president.
And a couple of his bodyguards. You know, one of them who had been stricken, very sick, has recovered and is back now and is working with Michael again. Fred Whitfield from Nike, Howard White from Nike, a number of the people who've been friends with Michael over the years. Aaron Patton, also from Nike, is here today.
So, 10 scoring titles, 6 NBA titles, 5 MVPs, and now 2 retirement speeches. This is Tim Hallam at the podium. He is the Bulls Director of Public Relations, informing the media that there will be questions that you can ask Michael and the rest of the folks on the dais when this is over.
Well, we do this again for the second time. I was telling my wife coming down, I felt like I was getting married, you know. But I guess the first and foremost thing that I want to do, and I think everybody here and today is not just a day for Michael Jordan. I think it's a lot of other serious things happening in the world, and I think I wanted to take time out to, from my family and hopefully from you guys, to give condolences to the officer that was killed in action, who so happened to have his funeral presentations today at the same time, which is, you know, kind of unfortunate. And I think that puts a lot of things in perspective in terms of what life is really about. You know, my responsibility has been to play the game of basketball and relieve some of the pressures of everyday life, you know, for people who have worked from 9 to 5, and I've tried to do that with the best of my abilities. But I think what's happening with his family and certainly unfortunate circumstances that happened, I'd like to pass on my condolences from my family to his, and I'm pretty sure you guys mean the same thing. I am here to announce my retirement from the game of basketball. It won't be another announcement to baseball or anything to that nature. I think everyone has their own reasoning. There's been a lot of speculations in terms of why. I'm pretty sure I get to that point once you guys get the opportunity to ask questions. But I want to say thank you to both of the gentlemen here, Mr. Stern and Mr. Reinsdorf, for presenting me with the opportunity to play the game of basketball, and certainly giving me an opportunity to come to Chicago and meet my beautiful wife and build a family here, and my family in North Carolina, a lot of my friends who have come up to support this day and support me, who have always supported me once I stepped on the basketball court, and even when I didn't play on the basketball court. I want to say thanks to both of those gentlemen, and to all the fans in Chicago for allowing me to come here, and they have adapted me to be one of theirs, and responsive. I tried to step on the basketball court and get rid of the gangster mentality that Chicago was known for a long time. And I think successfully, myself and my teammates and the whole organization has made an effort to change the perspectives about Chicago. And we are hopefully going to be known as a championship city. And I hope it continues on even when Michael Jordan's not in uniform. I will support the Chicago Bulls. I think the game itself is a lot bigger than Michael Jordan. I've been given an opportunity by people before me, to name a few: Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Dr. J, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West. These guys have, played the game way before Michael Jordan was born. And Michael Jordan came on the heels of all that activity, and with Mr. Stern and what he's done for the league, and gave me an opportunity to play the game of basketball. And I played it to the best that I could play it, and I've tried to enhance the game itself. I've tried to be the best basketball player I could be, and next thing you know, here we are as a league. And I think the league is going to continue on, although we've had our troubles over the last 6 months. I think that's a reality check for all of us, that it is a business, but yet it's still fun. It's still a game, and the game will continue on. Once again, I've had a great time, and I can't say enough for the people who have supported me. And my life will take a change. And a lot of people say, well, Michael Jordan doesn't have any challenges away from the game of basketball.
Well, I dispute that. You know, being a parent is very challenging. If you have kids, you know that. You know, and I welcome that challenge, and I look forward to it. And you know, I will live vicariously through my kids as they play the game of basketball. If they don't, you know, I will support that. You know, my wife and I would do the same. You know, we would do what we can as parents to make sure that happens. And you know, that's the challenge that I have in front of me, and I look forward to that. You know, unfortunately, my mother and my family, my brothers and sisters could not be here. But as you see me, you see them. You know, my father, my mother, and certainly my brothers and sisters. So they are here through me, and they once, along with myself, say thank you for taking me in and showing me the respect and certainly the gratitude that you have shown me over the years that I've been here. I will be in Chicago for my career, hopefully, I mean, for the rest of my life. My wife won't allow me to move nowhere else. So I will be in Chicago, and I will support Chicago teams. You know, and you know, that's all I really truly had to say. You know, I thought about saying just 2 words, I'm gone, but I figured I owe the fans and certainly the media a little bit more than that. So.
And someday, Michael, the White Sox might retire 45. And to my leader, David Stern, the truth is that for what Michael has meant to the NBA, this number could very well be retired in every arena in the league. Certainly, we in Chicago think that anybody who wears number 23 with a basketball uniform would look like a pretender. Finally, Michael, I have one thing to present to you. For the last season, for the last game, for the last shot, I would like to present to you the 1998 World's Championship ring, which certainly means a lot to all of us.
You compare the reasons for your retirement, feeling about it, to the last time you retired, and why you're so certain this role in it for you.
Well, it's very similar. You know, mentally, I'm exhausted. I don't feel I have a challenge. Physically, I feel great. The last time in '83, I had other agendas. You know, I knew I wanted to play baseball, and I felt that at my age, it was a good opportunity, time to do it. And you know, with the death of my father, and I was basically trying to deal with that. And this time, I'm at peace with a lot of those things. I know, you know, from a career standpoint, I've accomplished everything I could as an individual. And right now, I don't have the mental challenges that I've had in the past to proceed as a basketball player. Sure, I'm pretty sure people say, well, it's a lot of different challenges that could evolve. And you know, for me, to start something and then in the middle of the season lose interest and lose my motivation, it's unfair to the people that I'm working with and working for and to the fans. So I alleviated that opportunity by saying, you know, this is the perfect time for me to walk away from the game. And I'm at peace with that. And unfortunately, we've had some problems in the collective bargaining agreement, but you know, I think those situations have solved, and we have to get past that.
Michael, I guess the question a lot of people around town want to know is, what do you see next for the Bulls? How do you see them competing this year, and do you think that they could possibly carry on the legacy that you established of being one of the premier, the elite teams in the league?
Well, I think it presents a challenge for them, you know, to live up to the standards that we've brought here in the city of Chicago. I think it's part of the challenge for Jerry Krause and Jerry Reinsdorf and Tim Floyd to maintain that. And I think they welcome that challenge, and that's good. And it depends on how they take that in action. You know, I don't know what decisions they're going to make in terms of free agency, or I like to see them keep Scottie Pippen around and give him the just due that he's very deserving, but that's just my opinion once again. But we set high standards here, and the pressure's on them to maintain that. Now, how long would that last? Will it be next year? I think, you know, that's hard for me to say, you know, but I'm pretty sure they got to live with that as they move further, you know, and I'm pretty sure they want that to happen. They want to live up to the standards, and that's a part of the challenge, and I support that.
Michael, 2 questions. The first one, I want you to tell me
whether the second three-peat was more precious than the first. And second question is, are you leaving with absolutely no more desire to play?
Lacey, you're great. I like you, Lacey. The second three-peat by far is the one that you have to cherish the most because it's the hardest. I felt it was the hardest to achieve. You know, especially when the team was dismantled to some degree and then brought back with different talent, players from programs that never really experienced with the expectations that we had experienced with here in Chicago, and and I felt it was harder, and we overcame that, and we won 3 in a row. So I would say that's better than the first 3. Now, which team is better? I would think the first team is the better of the second team that won 3 in a row. But it was definitely harder to win the second 3 in a row than the first 3. In terms of desire is always going to be there. If the desire is not there, the love was never there. But I have to make a judgment in terms of the desire. All the time I step on the basketball court, not 1/4 of the time, but every time I step on the basketball court. And I can't honestly say that's going to be there every time I step into this building for 82 games or 100 and some games that we play in the course of the year. And I've always been sure about that, and now I'm unsure about that. So with that doubt, I choose to make my own decisions about retirement.
Michael, is this a true story that you came back? One reason that you came back was because your son Jeffrey told you that Shaquille O'Neal was the greatest basketball player. And if it is true, if you have another child, might you come back again?
No, that's not true, but my middle kid loves Dennis Rodman. He wants red hair, so I mean, I don't think that's going to drive me back, but that is not a true statement, and I'm not against my kids idolizing other people, because that means they see me as their father, and they really don't see me as the basketball player, and that means my wife and I doing our jobs in terms of being the great parent that we have to be. So if they see other players as being, their idols, I don't have a problem with that. Just no red hair in my household.
Michael, which were you more proud of, your athletic skills or the mental skills that you brought to the game, and which was more difficult to keep up?
Well, I came in here with the physical skills. I was, to some degree, I was born with the appetite to enhance it as I got older and as I played the game. But the mental skills came with the education of the game, that either I learned from Coach Smith before I got here, or I learned in the course of the coaching staff that I've been endured with. Tex Winter probably being the most, because he was probably the one that would criticize my game more than anybody, and to me that's a plus. That's a driving force for me. But the mental part is hard because you have to really learn, taking everything that you've learned over a period of time and apply that to your game and tie that into the physical aspect to your game and make the complete basketball player that you try to become. So physically it's a little bit easier, but the mental part is the hardest part, and I think that's the part that separates the good players from the great players.
Michael, is there any chance whatsoever that you'll change your mind somewhere down the road and return?
No. I never say never, but 95, 99.9%, I'm very secure with my decision.
Michael, we heard Jerry Reinsdorf say this was a sad day. We heard David Stern say it was a happy day. What are you thinking? What kind of emotions do you have as you make this announcement? Are you mixed about it? Have you been overcome yet? What's going on inside?
It's tough. I'm doing a good job trying to hold back the emotions, because it's like taking away something that I truly have loved for the last, I started when I was 12 years old. Now I'm 36 next month, so 24 years I've been playing the game, and it's part of both. It's sad that I have to, that I'm leaving the game, but it's happy because my life is starting to go into a whole nother stage. Basketball, for me, was the first stage. It got me to this point in my life, and I knew it had to end. My life takes on a different stage now, and it's a different challenge, and I welcome that, and I knew it was coming. So I'm happy that it's gotten to this point. I'm happy that you guys didn't run me out of the game. I chose to walk away knowing that I can still play the game, and that's what I've always wished for, for my career to end
you know, that's exactly the way I wanted to end it.
Michael, two questions like Lacey. Is there a record that you wish you could get that you can't get now that you're not playing? And two, are you worried about the spirit of the young players in the game?
No, it's not a record that I didn't get that I would love to have gotten. I mean, I'm pretty sure people would say I'd like to lead score the most points in the history of the game, but that I'd rather give up that to get 6 titles, you know, so it's a compensation there. In terms of the youth of the game, I think that, you know, we really have to be very patient with them and apply more guidance to them to still enjoy the game and play the game with a lot of energy. The unfortunate thing, either myself or some of the other players before me has brought more to focus is the financial aspect of the game. I think that's going to have to dissipate a little bit and get more back to the love of the game. The love of the game is what you do on the basketball court. And I'm pretty sure that David wants that to happen. I'm pretty sure every owner wants that to happen. But no matter what happens, you know, in this business of basketball, if you didn't get paid a dime, you still would play the game of basketball somewhere. And that love has to be illustrated in the way that you play the game and the way that you carry yourself on and off the court. You know, and I think that's something that we all, as athletes, you know, not just professional basketball players, but all professional athletes have to take into account when they're stepping out in the public side.
Michael, you've had so many thrills in your career, and you've provided so many highlights and thrills for everyone. From college all the way to that last shot against the Jazz in Game 6 last June, could you perhaps point out 1 or 2 of them that really stick out in your mind that just stands above the rest?
Well, the first and last shot, those are 2 that you just can't erase because it started and ended my career to some degree. The year we got past the Pistons, because I was getting over the hump. You know, we got to the hump, but we never really could get over the hump. I think the year that we beat Cleveland, when no one thought we could beat Cleveland, and I think that gave the city, or got the city behind the Chicago Bulls, that if you put your mind to something, you can accomplish what you believe in. And a lot of people didn't give us a chance. And we went out and we beat Cleveland. And I think that showed to the public here in Chicago that, you know, either you're with us or not. We got to make a change here in the Chicago Bulls organization. And we're going to have to do it with the belief starting within and then hopefully extending outside of that. And I think that was a major step into that whole thought process.
Michael, you said you'd only play for Phil Jackson. Hypothetically, if Phil Jackson ended up somewhere else, let's say Madison Square Garden, would you ever play for Phil again?
You know, that's not even envisioned in my mind right now, you know, and, you know, so I don't think that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. And if Phil ends up in New York, I'm happy for Phil, but although I love New York, I can't see myself coming out of retirement and playing in New York. No, but it kind of looked that way. Up to that point, all my shots were short because I was getting tired. And I guess the lessons that you learn over the years is that, you know, stick with the shot a little longer, make sure you get that extra little bit. And that was my thinking, was to make sure that I extend and go through the necessary fundamentals to get the ball to the basket. Turned out to look as if, you know, I was posing for all the photographers, but, you know, that was not the case. Well, the most unfortunate thing, it was an accident trying to cut a cigar. And I suffered a tendon, which I have to have surgery on in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully it doesn't alter my golf game, but my decision was made before this happened. And if, you know, from what doctors have told me, that even if I chose to play, I wouldn't be able to play for 2 months. But that never had any factors in terms of my decision.
You've been able to transcend geographical, racial, social barriers. With your stature and respect, you go into seclusion now, or do you try to maybe solve some of the world's problems?
Well, it's two big no's. I don't think I can go in seclusion. And certainly I can't solve the world's problems. There's a lot of problems out there. There's a lot of things that I can lend my support to. I will do that. Seclusion is, for me, will back away from the public eye to some degree. Still have obligations with endorsements that will require me to be in the public's forefront for a little while. But so, I would be hopefully I'll be on a minor scale in terms of I will still be doing commercials. That's simple. But I can't save the world by no means. It's never going to be another Michael Jordan. It's never going to be another Dr. J. I knew that. It was never going to be another Elgin Baylor. I knew that. So the kids of tomorrow, it's never going to be another Michael Jordan. It can be a Grant Hill, it can be Anthony Hardaway, it can be Kobe Bryant. But Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. And you may pick bits and pieces of his game or his personality, and somehow correlate it to yours. But either way, you have to evolve to be the person that you are. Sure, that you're going to use comparisons as a standard of measurement. Yes, that happens. But it's different circumstances that you have to deal with, in each era. I didn't have the same things facing me as Dr. J had in his era. And I'm pretty sure Kobe and some of the guys who are coming behind me is not going to have the same. So they have to evolve to be the players that they are, and they're going to be, with maybe my influences and other influences. But you're right, it's not going to be another Michael Jordan, and I wouldn't advise the other guys to try to be that or do that.
You've talked so much about all the positives and everything regarding your career. During your career, what was the most difficult things for you to go through?
Losing early on. And I guess it's part of losing that you had to change your game to the criticisms that you were receiving. Well, Michael Jordan doesn't make his basketball, his players around him better. And there was some truth to that, because I didn't really know how, and I had to learn to do that. So that was a challenge, but yet it was a negative towards Michael Jordan, and I used that negative as a positive. There's a lot of negative things that happened to me in my life, within the game of basketball and outside basketball. But I've always been able to take that negative and turn it into a positive as a learning experience, but yet, move forward from. And I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change any of the lessons that I've learned from the negative and the positive, because I think that helped me evolve to be the person that I am. But it was a lot of negative things that enhance, me as a person and as a player. I like that, Bill, because I talked to Patrick, I talked to Charles, I talked to Carl, I talked to all of them, and I'm pretty sure they feel the same. They all wanted me to come back just so that, if they win a championship, they can say they had gone through Chicago or Michael Jordan to win it, to give it the meaning that it, of taking a title away from Chicago. And that's the good thing about it, that they will never have the chance to say that, That's what I was so glad that Magic played and Bird played when I won my titles, because now, I had to go through, to some degree, Boston and L.A. Patrick, I don't know. He won't be able to live with himself if he can't beat Michael Jordan in a series. And Charles Barkley, I told, would never win because he doesn't dedicate himself to winning. But, all of them joked with me and hated to see the possibility of me retiring just because, they didn't have an opportunity to beat me in the finals or get past me. And that is a cute thing about retiring, and I would always hold that in high respect when I see these guys socially.
We're going to go with 3 more questions.
Juanita, what are your feelings about the retirement? How's this going to change your life?
Actually, my life won't change at all. I see Michael doing more carpooling. That's about it.
None. None. You know, Phil and I, we talked all season long about, you know, what the possibilities may be at the end of the season. And once he made his decision, you know, he didn't want his decisions to influence mine, and I said it wouldn't. And I didn't want my decision to influence you. Sure, I'm saying that I would rather play for Phil Jackson if he's here. I mean, but that's just my opinion. But that doesn't tell me, or that shouldn't have you make the best decision suited for Phil Jackson, because that's the first and foremost for me, is to make sure that you're happy. You know, and he didn't have any influence in terms of what he didn't even know. I haven't talked to Phil since somewhere midway in the summer. And if the season would have started in October, or you know, I would pretty sure that I would have made the same decision. I don't think that changed by doing it now.
Michael, one last time for the record, why do you have to walk out of here with that 1% in your pocket?
Because it's my 1% and not yours. That's why.
Michael used to consult with your father throughout your life about so many important decisions. If he were here today, what type of advice do you think he would have given you about making this choice?
I think it wouldn't have been any different than what I said. You know, what you see from me is what you see from, you know, he would have done the same thing. You know, he probably would have loved to answer questions before I would have answered the questions, but, you know, he would have probably told me this is the perfect time. The writing's on the wall. Take it and walk away with it with your head held high, and, you know, and enjoy your kids and move on. And so it doesn't differ from what I'm doing. You know, my second father, Gus, said the same thing. Wherever Gus is, he's been saying the same thing for a while. I guess he just liked to get out of Chicago from the warm weather. So, you know, so it's no different than what's happened. You know, my father would basically give me the same advice, and my mother basically did. You know, so.
Michael, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chicago.
This year, that's been the NBA's preseason. Players trying to work out, negotiate, and get new deals in a matter of weeks as the regular season opens February 5th. However, Michael Jordan's announcement did slow that frantic pace to a crawl. MJ's peers react to his retirement.
People really didn't want to believe a man could actually fly, and he gave everyone that belief that for a little bit, maybe they could.
You're going to miss facing the Bulls with him, knowing that it's showtime.
He made me want to be an NBA basketball player. And, you know, just to tell him, you know, thanks for everything he brought to the game and opened the door up for the rest of the players.
He's undoubtedly the greatest player in the game. We're going to miss him. And I could tell all my 10 children from 9 different women that I played against the great Michael Jordan. I thought Jesus never will retire, you know. I know Jesus worked 7 days a week, or 6 days. He rested on Sunday, didn't he? Well, Michael Jordan played on Sunday.
He does so much for younger guys like myself. You want to strive to beat the best. Now the best is leaving, so you still have to get pumped up in some kind of way and see which next person can come over and try to take over his reign.
He's doing what he wants to do. And if that's what he wants to do, my respects go to him. He had a great career. You know, now it's time for me to move on.
Not being able to see him play again, you know, it's going to be a little sad. It's like when Magic retired for the first time, and you knew that you never was going to see the no-look pass. I know that we're never going to see Jordan flying through the air dunking, and that's a little sad.
It's a sad day, really. You know, he's the best player to ever play in this game, and we're definitely going to miss him.
It's been a blessing playing against a guy like that, and when I have children, you know, and I can show them tapes of telling them this is the best player who ever touched the basketball, and he's going to be very well missed.
You know, when you step on the court, Mike, you was like,
it's Michael Jordan, the best. You know, you try to go out there and play good. You just want to beat him, no matter what. So you say you beat the best player ever.
That's the way to end your career, on a sweet jumper to win the championship. You know, that's a storybook ending.